Acts 1. Acts 1. Tonight the lesson is called Look Up and Find the Power. Look up and find the power. All right? And so we're going to be diving here into Acts 1. This semester, we're actually going to be going through the book of Acts all semester. Who appreciated the reading plan last semester? Who appreciated that? You know, some of us might not have read all the way through, but we still appreciated it. But we're going to have a new reading plan this semester. I'm actually really excited about it. We're going to be reading through the book of Acts, but then every time Paul or Barnabas or Silas or Timothy, they go to another church, we're going to go read that epistle to that church. So when they go and plant the church in Ephesus, then we'll go read, guess, Ephesians, right? They're connected. You didn't know. Okay, there you go. So it's going to be really exciting. We're going to talk about that all on Friday, along with our big theme for the semester, Unveil. It's not today. It's on Friday. So be there so you can get the theme. It's going to be exciting. But we're going to be going through the book of Acts. I'm really excited about this. And we're going to start from the very beginning tonight here in Acts chapter 1. Because I think there's some cool things that happen right here that actually can speak to us coming into a new year in 2022. So in Acts 1, my name is Jordan Massey, if you're here for the first time. I graduated from Tech a few years back. What's up? There we go.
A few.
We're talk about that later. You know what I'm saying? All right, verse 1. Acts 1:1. In my former book, Theophilus, I wrote about all that Jesus began to do and to teach until the day he was taken up to heaven, after giving instructions to the Holy Spirit to the apostles he had chosen. After his suffering, that was when he died, he presented... God bless you. Sorry. After his suffering, he presented himself to them and gave many convincing proofs that he was alive. He appeared to them over a 40-day period and spoke about the kingdom of God. All right, and so before we start this whole semester in the book of Acts, I did want to kind of paint the picture a little bit, okay? In Acts 1:1, there's a couple things that are mentioned that are kind of cool for us that are actually serious about the Bible, all right? So he says, in my former book, who knows what book he's referencing? Luke. No, he's referencing Luke, okay? So Luke wrote the Gospel of Luke, and then he also wrote the book of Acts, all right? So Acts is kind of like Luke part 2, right? And so Luke in the other 4 Gospels, if you're new to the Bible, right? Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are the 4 Gospels. They're the stories of Jesus from 4 different accounts. So they're mostly the same stories, just from 4 different points of view. 4 different people decided to write about Jesus, and because they saw him or with him. So Luke wrote the Gospel of Luke, and then he came back with his second volume, and he wrote what happened after Jesus died. That's the book of Acts. And he says, so in my former book, Theophilus. Now, Theophilus, there's kind of some cool, I don't know, not theology, but some ideas around Theophilus, because we don't really know who he is. He could very well be a person. He could very well just be a person named Theophilus. That could have been his name. But interestingly enough, Theophilus literally means friend or lover of God. So he could have just been writing to anyone out there that wanted to be a friend of God, or anyone out there that wanted to be a lover of God. There's other ideas that said it could have just been someone's kind of nickname or their secret name, just in case it got caught by the Romans. They wouldn't have known who it was to. So maybe this certain disciple went by Theophilus, and Luke was writing to him, but that was kind of his nickname, so he didn't get found out. We don't really know, but we know that Luke addresses Theophilus in the chapter in Luke and in Acts. So thank you to whoever that is for giving us some motivation to have this. The last thing I'll say about the overall, before we kind of dive into some of the material, is that Acts is often known as the Acts of the Apostles. And really, even there, it's about the Acts of Peter, 1-11, and then the Acts of Paul is 12-28. It's really about the Acts of the Holy Spirit. And that's what we're going to start getting into in this next little section. Look back in verse 4. So that was for everyone that was serious out there. If you didn't follow any of that, the rest of it will be a little more simple. Okay? Acts 1, verse 4. On one occasion, while he was eating with them, he gave them this command. Do not leave Jerusalem, but wait for the gift my Father promised, which you have heard me speak about. For John baptized with water, but in a few days you will be baptized with the Holy Spirit. Then they gathered around him and asked, Lord, are you at this time going to restore the kingdom of Israel? And he said to them, "It is not for you to know the times or the dates the Father has set by his authority, but you will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes on you. And you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem, in Judea, in Samaria, and to the ends of the earth." All right, there's a bunch of really cool things that just happened right here. First of all, you guys, is anyone here an English major? There's no such thing as an English major at Georgia Tech. Is anyone an English major at Georgia State? Okay. Does anyone still remember from high school what a thesis statement is? Yeah. Right? Okay, good. You're remembering something, right? A thesis statement is like the summary of what's about to be talked about. If there's a thesis statement to the book of Acts, it is Acts 1:8. Let's read that again. Acts 1:8. "But you will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes on you, and you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem and all Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth." This is the thesis statement for what's about to happen across all of Acts. We don't have slides today, but just in case you didn't, we're going to do a brief history lesson. We did a biblical lesson about the history of the Bible. Let's do a brief history lesson, okay? This amazing thing right there is the Mediterranean Sea. Can you see it? Isn't that incredible? All right. And so then this is Jerusalem, like Italy kind of comes on like that. I was an art major. And so this is Jerusalem right here, right? This is Jerusalem. This is Judea. This up here is Samaria. And then this would be the ends of the earth. Specifically, you would come down to Rome, would be the ends of the earth. And so that's the ends of the known world to those times. And so what the Spirit is saying right here, is the gospel has not gone anywhere else. No one in all the world has heard about Jesus. No one in all the world, this Jesus, the Son of God, literally came down on earth. He gave his life for your sins, and no one knows about it. So the Spirit's saying right here in Acts, what's about to happen is I'm going to take it from right here in Jerusalem, then I'm going to tell everyone about it in Jerusalem and Judea, then I'm going to tell everyone about it in Samaria. Then we're going to go to the ends of the earth, because to their time frame, they barely knew Asia existed during that time. But to them, Rome, specifically over here, that was as far out as you could possibly go. Oh my gosh, all the way to Rome. There's no way you could ever get over there. He says, I'm going to take it there, all the way to the ends of the earth. And we today still get to live that out, because we are to the ends of the earth being lived out. There's 28 chapters in Acts. In some way, shapes, and form, we are Acts 29. We're the Spirit continuing to take it through to the ends of the earth. The story, but this is all about the story of the Spirit. The story of the Spirit spreading his kingdom all across. It's like a flame that got lit. There's these crazy forest fires that are happening in Colorado right now. And a lot of times they happen every summer all across California. They burn hundreds and thousands and millions of acres. The crazy thing about a wildfire, even though it gets spread to millions and millions of acres, that I can start with just one spark. Yet there's so much power in that one spark that I can spread across so much. And the same thing is true right here, where it started with 12, with the spark of the Holy Spirit, it spread so much further. Now that's what this is all about. Because Jesus told them to wait for a gift. And that gift was the Holy Spirit. He says, you will receive power. And this power from the Spirit was going to be so amazing. I love this idea of power. And it's not like the power of this world. It's not military power. It's not power over. It's not, I'm going to control you power. It's a different kind. It's a spiritual. It's a genuine. It's an authentic, godly power. And he says, I want you to wait for that power. And that's going to be the spark. That's going to make something amazing happen. The spark of the Spirit. Okay, who has seen the new Spider-Man? You guys seen that? Who thinks it's the best Marvel movie out there? A couple of us? Okay, listen. I haven't seen it yet, all right? I haven't seen it yet. It's Toy's birthday today. We're going to go see it this weekend. She's actually home sick. Pray for her. So it kind of stinks to be sick on your birthday. But do you remember how Spider-Man got his powers?
Yes.
Just in case you don't know, I'm going to spoil it for you, okay?
What?
If this is spoiler alert, then that's just terrible. You know what I'm saying? He got bit by a spider, all right? Just believe it or not. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, I spoiled it for you, John. I know you're going to be mad at me for a long time. But he got bit by a spider, right? And that little thing gave him power to allow him to climb walls. And all of our, like, you do more than that, you know what I'm saying? You would say it differently.
That's how you reduce his powers, just
You would say something else.
He has super strength, just fighting sense.
He has an extra 6 comics.
He's grow like venom spikes and like injections.
You got it all out. You got it all out. You got it all out. You feel better now? You got it all out? Okay. So he gave him the power to climb walls. It's hilarious. So he gives him all this power, right? Then over time, he has to learn how to use that power. Y'all remember like the old Spider-Man movies? You know what I'm saying? Tobey Maguire's. Remember the third one? Like the worst movie of all time? Terrible movie. That was an absolutely terrible movie. I'm sorry. So he had to learn how to use his powers, right? It's the same thing with the Spirit. The Spirit gives us power. If you have the Spirit of God in you, you have power from on high. And yet, you do have to learn. And you might go, well, what in the world? I've never been able to climb up walls. I really got power. You know, I guess the Spirit can do anything. I guess he could, Dana. He could give you that power to climb up walls. I haven't seen it before, you know what I'm saying? Maybe we're just waiting. But the Spirit gives you such greater power than any superhero movie we could ever see. This is a different kind of power. It's the power of godly love that empowers you to love people you never thought you could. It's the power of godly courage in situations you thought you would always be afraid of. It's the power of godly self-control during even the most extreme temptation. It's the power of godly inner strength and peace that the Spirit bears fruit inside of you. It's the kind of power that the world longs for but can never find outside of God. It's power from on high. And the power from the Spirit was going to use these 12 men that he's talking to right here to change the world forever. It's kind of an insane thought, even if you're not a Christian. If you're an atheist, it's an insane thought that 2,000 years ago in ancient Middle East Jerusalem, 12 men started a movement that went for thousands of years, that struck the hearts and captured the hearts of millions and millions of people. That's insane. That doesn't happen because of man. That happens because of the Spirit of God. That happens because of power on high. It was a spark that went from one person to the next, and it has changed the world forever. One person at a time through the Holy Spirit. And the truth is, guys, is the roots of what we do now, today, are right here. And what we do today on Georgia Tech and Georgia State and Emory's campus, the roots of it are right here. Actually, the first Bible discussion on campus ever happened in the book of Acts. We'll get there in a few weeks. It's kind of cool. And we follow in this legacy. It's interesting to think about if Luke was writing to us today. If he said, instead of saying, Luke, in my former book, Theophilus, if he said in my former book, Alpha Omega Ministry, what would he say right here? Or if Jesus talking to us, what would he say? I wonder if he would say, with the power of the Holy Spirit, be my witnesses at Georgia State and at Emory and at Georgia Tech. I wonder if he would say the same exact thing to us. Because the Spirit was on a mission here, and the Spirit hasn't changed. We serve a God that's on a mission. We serve a Spirit inside of us that's on mission. If you don't believe you're on a mission to help other people, then you got to really think about if it's really God's Spirit inside of you. Because we serve a Spirit on mission. He's still looking for men and women on our campuses across the city of Atlanta that want to know God. He wants to use us to change the world one person at a time. And what's crazy is just as Jesus and the Spirit chose these 12 men to start out with, it ends up being 70 by the end of Acts 1, which we won't read. He chooses us today. It's not a coincidence that you're here right now. It's not a coincidence, the beginning of 2022. I don't know if a friend invited you or you've been a part of this ministry for a long time or your sibling invited you or whatever it is. The Spirit got you here. And I do not believe that's by coincidence. Because he still chooses people. He still calls people to himself to use, to empower, and to lead. You are here for a reason, my friends. God has given you a gift to share with the world about the relationship with him. This semester, we can make a decision. This year, you can make a decision. You can make a decision to not live by your insecurities anymore. You can make a decision to not live by those inner voices that tear you down anymore. You can make a decision to live by the power of the Spirit. You can make a decision to live by the power of the Holy Spirit inside of you, with power and with purpose to be His witness on your campus. That's what we're going to be looking at through the book of Acts. Because as we try to do that today, we need to look at how the people that first got called did it. So we'll be following how the Spirit used them to do amazing things. Amen?
Amen.
All right, let's go to verse 9.
Good, Jordan.
After he said this, he was taken up before their very eyes, and a cloud hid him from their sight. They were looking intently up into the sky as he was going, when suddenly 2 men dressed in white stood behind them. Those are angels, just in case. All right. Men of Galilee, they said, why do you stand here looking into the sky? This same Jesus who has been taken from you into heaven will come back in the same way you have seen him go. We're not going to talk about this much, but that very last statement is a super powerful statement. He will come back in the same way you've seen him go. I mean, tomorrow, what if as you were walking across campus, Jesus literally came back out of the sky? That's crazy. I mean, that's a reality that we hope for. It's a reality that we believe in, is that Jesus is coming back. It's pretty sweet. But look back up in verse 9. We were talking about Spider-Man earlier. Think about someone that actually can fly, because Spider-Man can't fly, right? Think about, okay, it matters like what, like metaverse you're in or whatever. The Superman or something. Okay, I haven't seen the movie yet. I haven't seen the movie yet. All right, calm down. After, Gianna's so mad.
I'm sorry.
After he said this, he was taken up before their eyes, and a cloud hid him from their sight. Imagine. Can you just do this for a second? Close your eyes. You're hanging out with somebody. Don't try to picture Jesus because he's impossible to picture. Just you're hanging out with somebody, and they literally start flying away. That's crazy. You can open your eyes. Like, that's insane. All right, that's absolutely insane. Like, and imagine this was real. Like, it wasn't like you were like on a TV show or like a fake Marvel movie, or there was like you're looking for the wire. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're in ancient Middle East, and they didn't have helicopters, they didn't have planes, they didn't have like magnetic anti-gravity systems, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was no way that someone could fake fly. And you literally just saw a dude just fly up into heaven. I mean, what would you do? Blaine, what would you do? I mean, I would just be like... And then when these two guys in white are like, why do you stand there looking in the sky? Did you see that? That was amazing. Like, I mean, he just flew away. Like, are you serious? That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. He literally flew into the sky. That's just epic. You know what I'm saying? If I was Peter and Paul and one of the 12, I'd be like, he couldn't have done this a year ago and took me with him on a flying trip. Like, why do you have to wait to the end for that one? Jeez. You let me walk on water with you? You didn't let me fly with you? Like, come on, dude. But they say to them, why do you stand here looking up into the sky? Why do you stand here looking up? It's almost like they didn't want to miss something. Like, is he come back right now? Or is he going to like, they didn't want to miss something. And the idea of missing something as you're looking up kind of struck me as I was preparing this lesson. And I was reminded of a story. All right, you might have heard this if you've been around the church for a while. North River, our church, is sister churches with a church out in Kiev, Ukraine. Okay, that's like in Western Europe. And the church leaders there, Sean and Lena Wooten, are friends of mine. And he's shared this story with me personally and publicly at multiple forums. It's an insane story. And I was reminded of this as we're talking about looking up. Okay, and so some brothers in the church decide one Saturday morning to go have like a prayer morning, worship morning out in the park with some of the brothers. So they go to the park, they find a tree to go under, and they have a time of worship. And they're praying, and they're worshiping. It's like a meaningful time, right? And about an hour into it, they hear a voice from above them say, "Are you guys ever going to stop? Fine, I'm coming down." And they're like, "Is it God?" and they look up, and a dude starts climbing out of the tree. And he comes down out of the tree and he had a rope. And he was planning on killing himself that morning. And he had gone into this tree in this park early in the morning, and before he did it, these brothers happened to come right beneath him and start praying and start worshiping. And at first he was just waiting. Apparently he was waiting for them to go away, and they didn't for like an hour. But over time, his heart softened so much, he decided that if the God they worship is real, then there's a reason for me to live. So he came down. And then after a few weeks of those brothers, they met him, they befriended him, they looked into the scriptures with him, they studied it out with him, and after a few weeks, he got baptized as now your brother in Christ. But what's crazy about that story is that they never looked up. I mean, there was a dude literally, man, I don't know how big the tree was, I wasn't there, right? But like, there was a dude in the tree, and they missed it. Like, what if he never would have came down, and they had an opportunity to see him, but they just missed him? And it started getting me thinking with this idea of looking up, of how often do we miss things around us because we're just looking down, like metaphorically. What do we miss on a day-to-day basis? It's crazy what you miss when you don't look up in this life. It's crazy what you miss. They were beneath someone about to commit suicide for an hour without even noticing. What do you not even notice as you go about your daily life? What do you just miss? What do you walk around right past without even seeing? I know you guys tomorrow are going to start looking at the trees for people. That's not the point of this. The point is, maybe the people around you are not in the act of committing suicide, but how many people do you walk by every day that are in desperate need of help? How many people do you walk by every day that are depressed and discouraged by the state of the world or by what's going on in their family? You sit next to them in class. How many people do you walk by that seem like they got everything put together, but in actuality, they're just insecure? They're putting up a front in front of everyone because they don't want anyone to find out what's really going on inside. How many people do you walk by that never feel, how many guys do you walk by that never feel good enough? And all they can do is try to do one thing after another to try to feel good enough about themselves. How many girls do you walk by that never feel worthy enough of love? They do one thing after another just try to feel worthy of love. And we just completely miss it. And they don't want anyone to know, so they just put up a front. And they try to look their part. They try to put on the face. They try to be the way around other people so no one really knows what's going on the inside. What do we miss? The reality was, guys, is that I was one of those people. I was one of those people that tried to look the part. You know, when I was on campus, I worked with the basketball team. I was musically talented. I could play the keys like lights out, if you didn't know. I was tall, dark, and handsome. I was Nigerian. Oh, this is all dangerous. I'm
He is dark and handsome, Logan.
I thought you were secure, man. I was talking about him if you didn't know. This is Daniel. All right. But no, but seriously, this was me, not those things. As much as you might think I'm tall, dark, and handsome, you're colorblind or something. I'm sorry. Right? So I was a class clown, right? I thought I was the life of the party, did whatever could be life of the party. I was smart, went to Georgia Tech. I thought I was athletic. Maybe other people didn't, but I thought I was really good. You know, I went to the clubs a lot. I partied constantly. I did a lot of terrible things with a lot of girls. I dated around. And I thought that I got a lot of good grades. I got an incredible internship. And through all those things, I didn't realize that I was trying to put up these fronts of, look at me, I'm good enough because I did this. Or look at me like I'm good enough because of look at right here. Or look at me, I feel good enough about myself because of blank. And I tried to put up all these fronts. When in reality, there was just something inside me that was insecure that I barely let myself believe, much less let anyone else into. And I was one of those people. People could walk by me every day, think I was cool, think I was whatever, I had all my stories, I had all my whatever. And yet, I was empty on the inside. So many of us, can't you relate with that before you found Christ? That it can look so good on the outside, and yet you were empty on the inside. And I'm so grateful for those couple friends of mine. In the dining hall on campus, it was actually the first week of school, spring semester. I won't tell you what year, all right? But man, the first week of school, I was in the dining hall, and a couple of my friends saw past all of that, talked to me about Jesus, invited me out to a Bible study. And that was the spark that changed my life forever. It changed my life forever. That conversation, the spirit that came from that gave me power. It gave me peace. They showed me what life was really about. They showed me what life in the Spirit was all about. And how much better it was in the kingdom of God to live in the reality of the kingdom of God with the Holy Spirit. It's the greatest thing of all time. If you're looking for the best year of 2020 you ever had in 2022, walk with Jesus in his kingdom. It's the greatest life of all time. It's absolutely amazing. But these are people that we walk by every single day, guys. Every single day. They need God. They have what you need. Don't be fooled by whatever kind of glitz and glam it seems like. I said it wrong, didn't I? Thank you for doing this. You have what they need. There you go. You have what they need. Don't get fooled by the glitz and glam in their fronts and their faces. If you have Jesus, if you have the Spirit, you have exactly what they need and what they want. They're in your classes. They're in your dorms. And God leads you to them. He leads you right to them. Just like the Spirit of power here is going to lead them all through the book of Acts. He leads you to them. Sometimes the person you sit next to at the bus is not a coincidence. It's actually the Spirit that's just kind of led you right there to somebody that's looking for God, that's looking for the Spirit. Sometimes the person you happen to open the door for in the student center, it's not by accident. It's by the Spirit. Last spring, 2 weeks from now, it's like the third week of school or something, right? I'm in the student center at Georgia State. I went to get Chick-fil-A. Come back into the student center. I open the door for the person behind me. I introduce myself. I say, hi, my name's Jordan. He says, hi, my name's Blaine. And we start talking. I think the conversation lasts like 90 seconds, right?
I saw it.
We got each other's numbers, right? I think we hung out the next week. And then the rest is history. God took over, right? The Spirit took over. Georgia State, could you imagine the ministry without Blaine? I mean, Blaine is amazing.
We love Blaine.
But it was just, I didn't do that. I just opened the door for the person behind me. I had no idea it was someone looking for God, that wanted to make a change in their life, that was willing to give their whole life over to God that semester. But the Spirit did. You don't know what the Spirit's doing. It's His power. It's His might. He's moving around looking for souls, wanting to use you to change somebody's soul. Wanting to use you to change this world one person at a time. But the reality of it is, guys, is even more important than missing people that are in need is missing God. They say right here, why do you stand here looking into the sky? Why do you stand here looking up? I think for a lot of us, the opposite question should be asked. It should be, why do you stand there looking down? Like, why do you stand there not looking for God at all? Why do you stand there so distracted? And so, just completely amiss to what God is doing around you. I know I can do this. How often is God doing something around us and we just completely miss it? How often is God presenting you with an opportunity to help you grow in your character, to become the man or to become the woman He wants you to be, and you just completely don't see it at all? How often does God provide you with a friend that's there to love you and to help you heal a deep wound inside of you, but you won't let Him because you don't want to open up? But it's really God that's working in you. How often is God protecting you in some ways you see? Michael, you got an intense bike accident last semester. Weren't you just telling me that, right? What's crazy, I don't know the situation. What if you die? Who knows if God saved you from dying? Some things we see and other things we just don't see. How often is God constantly protecting us and we just let it go by without even noticing? And He's just there protecting us. I know I do this all the time. I can get so focused on the people that I can see that I miss the power that I can't see. Get so focused on the people that I can see that I miss the power that I can't see. I get so busy, so caught up in what's happening around me that I miss the greatest, most amazing power of all time. And I want us to talk about this for a second. If this is your first time here, we like having discussions all together when we come together and kind of just talking about our thoughts, because we don't just want to hear my thoughts, we want to hear each other's thoughts. So for you, as you're thinking about your walk, right? Like, what distracts you most from God? Like, what gets you in a rut where if God's trying to do something in your life, you don't even see it. Or he might try to do something powerful or do something to show up in a way, and you just completely miss him because of blank. Like, what's that blank for you that can distract you from God? Let's just talk about it a little bit. Who wants to start out? Yeah, Mel.
I think for me, the biggest thing is myself and just really what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I think when God calls me to do something, I can really be like, but do I want to do that though? And I think that can really like block out what amazing thing God has for me.
That's so real. That's so real. I'm going to talk about that once we finish this. I think that's dead on the money. Yeah, Jeff.
Kind of in that same vein, like my plans the day. I'm a big planner. I'll wake up in the morning after my gym session and be like, all right, this is what's going on.
Right.
And just being like, 3:30 to 4. I have
Not
class.
8.
Not more.
Go
No.
ahead.
3:30 to 4. I have class. Not actually. I wish. But like, then it's like, okay, 4:15. I gotta be back at my dorm
Right.
for equipment. Like, I can get so caught up in my own structures that I miss God being like, yo, take a moment and go talk with this person.
Right.
Or like, take a moment and just appreciate the artwork that's here and recognize that like I gave somebody this talent for you to experience or for other people to experience. And like, I don't know, that's definitely something that I've been working on.
One of the things that's hardest for me, that's not directly teached about with Jesus, but as you read about him, it just comes through the pages like nothing else, is how willing he was to be interrupted for someone else's needs. You'd say he was on the way to this place to go do something, and then someone touched him and just led to this whole thing. He just follows it. It's like, how often do I do that? I'm just like, I don't got time, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's real, man. That's so real. Who else can share? Yes.
I'm often distracted by the prayer points that are not answered, that I don't see the ones that he has already answered. So that's the big thing for me.
It's so huge. And it's mentally, right? It's like it's so stuck and like being, you know what I'm saying? Like frustrated. Yeah, I can feel that completely. Yeah, Jay.
I'm gonna kind of piggyback a little bit off of what you guys were saying. I call it tunnel vision. Something I do quite often, especially I like to also structure my days according to what is going to be done. And when I'm going to and from those places, have the headphones in, I'm going to point A and point B, there's nothing that's going to stop, and that ends up giving me tunnel vision. I don't see the things around me, what's going on. I don't look up, I'm only there to do the things that I planned for. So that
Jack, we're in TNL, bro. I don't know. Good, though.
that always ends up leaving a lack of God in my life. So
Yeah, I understand that completely. Cal.
A little similar to what Esther said, but it's when you notice yourself in struggles. Like I know for me, like I know when I'm in my struggles, it's really hard for me to see anything good in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. And how can I focus on what God wants to use me to do in those person's needs when I feel like my needs aren't being met? Yeah, it's real. None.
I think I can just get like distracted by like consuming a lot of things. Whether it's like I'm like in the morning I like have my time with God, but then by the time I'm in the car on the way to work, I'm like listening to something else,
Right.
and then the next Friday I'm listening to another thing, and then I also have this other book that I'm reading, and then here's this TV show, and then here's this other book. Like it's just like my brain, I can just let my brain get so full that I'm like, what am I even focusing on? Like I don't even remember what I read this morning because I've like filled my brain up with so many other things, and it's only 3 o'clock, so I think that's something that I notice can just really distract me, is just consuming a lot of things.
It's so easy to make our quiet times just one more thing that we consume a day and no different than anything else. I consume Netflix over here, I consume YouTube over here, I consume Instagram over here, I consume my homework over here, I consume Bible over here, and it's equal. And we just get caught in that consumerism, right? That's so real. That's so real. Guys, we do this so much. The thing that Malcolm started out with is it's so huge, right? Like that we get so distracted with ourselves. It's so real. You know. You know, actually, I was thinking about it, but I didn't write it out in my notes. So I still think that's so real. Is that more than anything else around us, more than Facebook, more than Instagram, more than whatever it is, we get distracted by our own minds. It's like me and what I want, when I want to do it, whether it's my schedule, whether it's my emotions. Oh my goodness, can't we just get distracted by our emotions? God can show up and go, hey, you, I'm right here. We're like, I'm sad. It's just so, you know, I'm in a mood. You know what I'm saying? It's just, we just miss it, right? We get so distracted by us personally. And a piece of it, we just got to let go. We got to say, man, we serve a God that's more powerful than whatever we're feeling. A God that's greater than whatever, no matter how deep or dark a pit I'm in. One, we serve a God that's willing to go in the pit with us. And two, we serve a God that's powerful enough to pull us out and to show himself to us. But we get so distracted by him, by ourselves. I mean. But even talking about loving and helping other people around us, I think it's easy to say, well, I don't know what to say. Like if the Spirit leads me to somebody, like what do I say to someone when I sit next to them on the bus to try to help them? Or what do I do? Like, what if they say yes? Oh no. Then I gotta try to help. I don't know how to help somebody. I'm not confident in helping someone become a Christian and help their walk with God. Like, how can he use me? The reality of it is, God, the truth is the biggest distraction for us is usually ourselves. There it is. I found it in my notes. It's right there. You know what I'm saying? But the power of the Spirit uses us in the same way. We're actually in the best place possible when we don't think we're enough. Because then we don't rely upon our strength, we rely upon his strength. We're in the best place possible. When you don't think you know what to say, I dare you to say something. When you don't think you know, like, hey, there's an opportunity right here, I just kind of feel like I could say something, you don't know what to say, I dare you to say something. Just open your mouth and watch this Spirit work. And trust in his power. I don't know what to say, but the Spirit does. So I'm going to say something. If they say, yes, I'm interested, I don't know how to help someone grow in their walk with God, but the Spirit does. Perfect. I'm going to say something then. I'm going to invite and really do trust the Spirit. You're in a perfect position to be used by God if you don't think you know how. You're actually in a perfect position. And what I do want to talk about, just one more conversation before we close out. If we talk about what can distract us, instead of what can distract us, let's talk about, man, what helps you see God working in your life? Like, what's an example of you seeing God working in your life? Or in general, what helps you put you in the right frame of mind, the right mindset, the right emotional state, the right spiritual state, where you can actually, you walk around and you feel like you're seeing God everywhere. And you feel so close to God. Like, what helps you get you there? I mean,
Come to TNL.
Come on,
Excited
bro.
for the rest of the week, honestly.
Yes. Bro, that is so encouraging for me to hear, bro. Thank you for listening. Yes, this is not because of how good a speaker is or how good our worship is, which the worship's awesome, or how good whatever is, you know what I'm saying? Like, but it's because when God's people come together, we're actually living out this legacy right here. And the Spirit moves when we're all together. When two or more are gathered, he's there, right? Love that. Yeah, Gian.
So I actually pray about this regularly.
Yeah.
To like see what God wants me to see. But even like what you were saying about walking with your headphones, I just take that moment to slow down with God. Like, yes, I gotta go from place to place, but I'm walking and I'm like, oh Lord, look how beautiful the trees you made. Oh Lord, like the breeze feels so nice. Like, thank you for that. And I slow down. And one time, this was the end of last semester, I was walking by and there was a sign that said, F Jesus, Satanism. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I never would have looked at that if I was just like in the motion walking by. I'm like, this is inappropriate. And I had someone take it down, and like how many other people saw that, you know, and how many people just walked by it with no motion. So like take things slow and like the little things, just spend those moments with God. Even though I'm not in like intense prayer or anything, I'm just walking, I'm like, I'm in your presence right now. And then, yeah, that's what I do.
That's awesome. Someone took it down.
Yeah.
That's great. It's crazy, even when there's a form of persecution or some kind of weirdness like that, how God can show up during that moment. I was reminded of one of my best friends, Tom McGirt. He was a campus minister up in Kennesaw. He was going down, he was sharing his faith. A lot of people are in line, just inviting him out to TNL and stuff like that. And one of them, is like an devout atheist. They start talking to him about like how God's not real and how it's terrible. And then one of the girls is like on their phone, and she goes, well, what do you think about this? And she shows him her screen on her phone, and it was a pornographic image of Jesus. And Tom was like, oh my gosh, you know what I'm saying? And in that moment, Tom could have ran. What do you say in a situation like that? You know what I'm saying? But he trusted, I'm just going to stay here and keep talking, and I'm going to let the Spirit's power work, because God must be doing something. I'm going to look up. I'm waiting for God to do something. So he starts, why would you show me that? Like, what do you think that, just kind of having a good conversation, you know what I'm saying? And the people that happened to be in line next to them go, they had a form of Christianity. As lukewarm as they were, they knew that was completely inappropriate. And so they jump on Tom's side. They're like, well, we're interested. We're interested, okay? We're like over here, like, we're interested. We'll go with you. I don't know what they're talking about, but like, we'll almost felt bad for Tom. and then they ended up being Harrison and Jackie Ellison, who ended up being the campus ministers in Kennesaw. They got baptized a couple weeks later, or a couple months later. And then another campus, they got sent off to lead a campus ministry in North Carolina. In that situation, if Tom ran, instead of saying, I'm going to look for God to show up right here in this weird situation, Harrison and Jackie never would have came to strong faith and become leaders in his church. But it was through situations like that where you see something weird. And then I'm gonna stay here and let the Spirit move, whether it's calling someone, taking it down, having a conversation. Love
It was
it.
actually right behind this building.
Oh, there you go, G. That's awesome. Who else wants to share? What helps you put you in a frame of mind for you to see God and not miss Him? Yes, Sid.
I was gonna say just like having times of like going on prayer walks or praying outside.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's something about praying out loud that makes God's presence more real. And I think I've just felt when I have times of that, I feel like that presence comes with me into the day. So I think just getting to pray out loud.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Go one more, David.
Yeah, so like just making faithful decisions, kind of like you were talking about, like just trying something and like seeing how God will work through that. Yeah, because I definitely relate to that. Like I don't like believe in my own ability a lot, but I'm like the only way I'm gonna do this is if I just like put myself in a position to do it and like see what happens. And I've done that plenty of times now, and like seeing God come through. So like that's really built my faith.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. What I want to encourage all you guys to do here at the beginning of the year, is one of the things that helps me most to see God is to make a gratitude list. And I want to give you a challenge, all right? I want to give you a challenge to write down 100 things you're grateful for. 100. When I first heard that, someone challenged me to do that, I thought, yikes, I'm going to fall way short. It's going to be very discouraging. But once you start writing and challenge yourself, you actually start finding more and more and more and more and more. And you walk away going, I'm the most blessed person of all time. Like, are you serious? Like, God's done so much for me that I miss constantly. Write down 100 things you're grateful for. Make a gratitude list. And next week, what we'll do is we'll just have a couple of people share, like, how was that? Making a gratitude list, and how was that for you, and what did that do for you? Because there's almost nothing that I've seen better than to go before God. What I like to do when I make a gratitude list is, God, almost make it a prayer, right? God, I want to go through, I just want to thank you for a lot of different things. And so at the top I write, God, thank you for, and then I make a list. You know what I'm saying? Make a gratitude list of 100 things. Let's go into 2022 grateful for what He's already done. Because what you're doing when you make a gratitude list, you're thinking through, what has He already done in my life? How have I missed Him in the past, but I'm looking for Him now? And that equips you with the goggles so that you can then go forward to see Him. This semester, in 2022, we're going to miss a lot of stuff, guys. You're going to miss a lot of things that happen. You might miss a new Marvel movie, right? And miss Spider-Man climbing walls. You might miss that. You might miss the latest Instagram post, the latest TikTok, or the latest article. You might miss the latest Netflix show. Whatever. You might miss a whole lot of stuff. But make a decision tonight in 2022 that you're not going to miss God. That when God shows up in your life, you're going to see Him, and you're going to be in awe of Him, and you're going to witness Him, and you're going to experience His power. This semester, look up for the power. Look up for God. Don't get so sidetracked in that tunnel where you don't see anything, you miss God. Decide to look around and watch out for Him working in your lives. Watch out for Him leading you to other people. I know that 2022 is going to be the greatest year that the campus ministry has ever seen. You know why? Because why not? Why not? I mean, do you want to have a worse year than last year? I don't. So let's have the greatest year ever. I truly believe God wants you to thrive this year. He wants you to be incredible this year. He wants you to grow this year. He wants you to have purpose and power and passion this year. Why not? You say, I'm looking for you, God. Use me, transform me, change me. Nothing's more important in 2022 than you, God. Nothing's more important in 2022 than Jesus in my life. Nothing's more important than seeing you and not only letting you transform me, but letting you use me to help someone else. And letting us as Alpha Omega continue with this spirit to go into all of Georgia Tech and all of Georgia State and all of Emory and to the ends of the earth and being his witnesses and changing this world one person at a time. Amen?
Amen.
Amen.